we are by one of the dressing rooms in the choir band wing, and this is A119 dressing room. Come in here, turn the lights on for the room, watch the door, and the other lights that you're going to want to turn on, we'll have one or two of these soft boxes in here, and what these do is they're going to light you separate from the backdrop, and that's a key ingredient to making green screen work. So right now the camera's set up here, you're going to stand here. Subject lighting, the backdrop is actually just lit by the room lighting, which is fine. And essentially you're pretty much ready to go. Get your camera set up and you're good to go. Hi Savers, this is Green Screen Recording 101. So the first rule of green screen when using iMovie is to walk into the frame as you just saw me do. Important to be able to sell this to your audience as something believable. Otherwise you just kind of magically appear in the background. Okay Savers, we're going to go over how to edit the green screen once you have shot it properly in the studio. And I've already outlined all of that here, how to set up camera and lighting, and that's all pretty basic. And then what I'm going to go over now is how to actually create the green screen effect. And it's a little bit counterintuitive to what you would think. If we look at our library of footage, we'll see up here that I've got Green Screen 101 right here, and inside this I've got a whole bunch of footage. The first stuff was what I shot in the green screen room, and I've already put that in. And what I want to put in next, or I'm going to drop some of this stuff in here, is some green screen material, particularly where I walk into the frame. So I'm going to go out right here, come back in. One of our rules with green screen is that we want to walk into the frame so that we don't just magically appear. And you would think that you would just drop this into the timeline, and then you would find a background that you would want to put there, and drop that on top of it. And right now I'm pretty zoomed out, so I'm actually going to zoom in with the slider over here so I can see more detail. Drag this to match, and I would click on this right here, choose this clip feature right here, and I would choose green screen. And what happens is I kind of appear behind the earth, but it's pretty messed up. And what's going on here is it's in the wrong order. Okay, so again, it's counterintuitive. You have to put your green screen footage on top and the background on the bottom. So I'm going to actually delete both of these. I'm going to bring my background in first, drop that in place. I'm going to bring my footage in, and I have to go back to Green Screen 101 and grab a little bit of footage right here, drop that on top like this, and then up here I want to have that selected and choose green screen. And now I appear on the spinning globe. I'm going to have to extend that globe to match the clip on the bottom, and I can hit spacebar. Lighting of the green screen is also important. Right now we've got a key light and everything's working. Okay, so that's one way, or the main way, to get my green screen footage in here. Again, walking into the frame allows me to naturally appear. Right now, if I end this too soon, I'm actually just going to disappear off the frame. And it's a real tell that you've used green screen. It's kind of obvious, you know, with graphics and stuff, to tell that I'm not me, but I can adjust that a little bit too. So if I look at the color balance here, let me get my playhead over onto the clip. I look a little bit yellow or kind of orangish, so I can adjust those. On the color palette here, I can shift the blues. I should select that clip and make sure I'm adjusting that one. These would be my blues and yellows, so I can warm it up or cool it down. And this would be my saturation, desaturate. Usually we're going to be in the mid-range here. And sometimes we can adjust enough to make it more believable, especially if you're transparent. If you notice that your body is like see-through because you didn't have good lighting. you can make some color adjustments here, and that'll help quite a bit. And there really isn't a lot of rules with this other than you're just going to adjust for the best possible picture. That's my white balance setting, so I'm going to just do a little bit better exposure there, and it's moderately believable that I am standing in front of the Earth. A few other things that we wanted to go over would be how to add, in this case, a still image as a background and just regular video as well. So I'm actually going to throw my next backdrop in there from I can go here and use any of these solid colors. So if I wanted white, the Apple commercial, and I could just extend this out, for example. Face. And then the backlight, I screwed up there. And this is a little motion graphics. I can stack two video clips over the top of each other, so I'm just going to go to the rest of my library here. We probably want to use something that looks like we could actually be standing in the frame, so something like this. I'm going to drop this in here, extend my green screen down again, and it's still selected as green screen, so I'm just going to appear.
One, go.
Lighting is also important. As far as the framing goes, you can mess with the framing a little bit, so we could crop this and zoom it in so I'm kind of the same size as Noel. And I should be able, there we go. Hit return, and now I'm closer to the same size, so I look like I'm in the foreground.
One, go.
Okay, so that would be how to do it over motion video. The only challenge with motion video is if the camera isn't stabilized, if the camera or the background is moving, it's a definite tell that it's green screen. And if we hit play here,
go.
Lighting is also important. It's fairly believable, but we can see that things are still moving a little bit. So you want to tripod your background if possible. Those are your motion graphic backgrounds popping up. So what I just closed out there is the last thing that I want to share with you, and that is I have made a special little package of motion graphics backgrounds for you. And where they're located is in Schoology. They're going to be inside your folder that was created for you. The one that says Video Projects 101 from C- to A+. And inside there's a folder called Motion Graphics Backgrounds. And every one of these is a video file. So we can click on, in this case, we'll take the Blue Saber Swoosh. And we have to click on this link again in order to download it. And it's going to take a little bit because it's fairly big. And once we download it, it's going to go into our Downloads folder. Where do you find that? If you go to Finder and Downloads, it'll be the most recent. There it is. I have to go back into iMovie, and the last step is to get that video into iMovie. So I'm going to choose Import, and I'm going to grab it from, I've got to find that Downloads folder. So I'm going to go to OS, Downloads, and I'm going to search by Content Created. It should come to the top. There's the motion graphics background. I'm going to choose import. I can select a portion of this, and I'm going to drag this, drop it in, and extend my green screen clip over it. Lighting is also important when it comes to. Now you notice I have the upper left-hand corner of the green screen that's kind of bleeding through there. But you get the idea of what this looks like. It's kind of your motion TV news backdrop, and there's a lot of good options there for you if you want a motion backdrop. So that's pretty much green screen. The only other things you could do transition-wise, I think in the new version, you can transition
clips. So here this should, it's going to cross dissolve. Let's see if we can fade it to black. No, we can't. So how do we end? Well, walking out of the frame is the best way to end, because it looks like we can't add any transitions. We can fade out our background,
Subject, that is.
but we can't fade our green screen, unfortunately. So that's the basics of getting your green screen footage into your camera. That's the basics of getting your green screen footage into iMovie and getting your backgrounds set up and working.